I declare and decree in this season, I will submit to the voice of the Holy Spirit calling my name. I am walking in the fullness of his purpose and plan for me and my life. It is my
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of S.H.E Emerge with me, your host, S.H.E. I'm excited to be back with you all again. I miss you all so much. I just have so much exciting stuff to share with you guys, and I just can't wait to be able to finally tell you. But we'll get to that because I can't hold water. So, in our previous episode, we discussed a social media post that I came across that was discussing how God sometimes will remove you from a space that you just don't belong in. And so, again, I've been on vacation. So I had some time to scroll the net, and I came across some really interesting things that I thought would make for good topics for the podcast. So the next couple of episodes, I'll probably be discussing a lot of those things. I thought they were thought-provoking, interesting. I thought they hit on some really interesting and some a little controversial things that we should talk about that affect us in our everyday life. You know, social media is social media, but every now and again they get it right with, something that will stimulate some great conversation. So I am in the middle of a transition. One that I initially did not welcome, one that I was not prepared for, one that I didn't even see coming. And so I was on vacation. I went on this really awesome trip. It's a mom's group. It's called Moms on the Move. And actually, I'm going to give you guys the information. Give me 1 second here. I'm sorry. I put my hand across here, but I want you guys to have the information in case you would like to join us. Feel free to check out that information right there real quick. And it's called Moms on the Move. In 2023, we will be going to St. Lucia. Open registration begins August 16th of this month, of this year. You can contact Corinne, and I spelled her name wrong, it's Korin, at travelbycorin@gmail.com. Hit her up if you're interested in the trip. At some point, if you follow me on social media, you've seen the posts of the pictures. It's a really awesome trip. It's for moms. Just a safe space for us to get away, enjoy ourselves, let our hair down, have some really great conversation, and just some good girlfriend time. Corinne is an awesome young woman. She created this trip because she's also a mom, a working mom. And sometimes you just need your space. And we've broken some real strong stereotypes that a bunch of women can't get together and not be catty and act up and not get along. We get along great. A lot of us have carried on our conversations and relationships outside of the trip. And I just think it was a great way to connect, which is a big deal for me because I am not the person who likes to seek new relationships. But God has a way of kind of forcing us out of our bubble. And so I believe he used this trip to force me out of my bubble. I'm traveling. I'm taking time for me and just really learning about self-care. And I think that that's important. So, listen, if you're interested, reach out to her. She's an amazing person. And I will put that information back up before the end of the program so that you can get her information. And again, I misspelled her name. It's Korin. So one of the things that I came across on social media, and it was actually shared in another group, and I said to this person, please get out of my head. And so it reads, it's funny how we outgrow what we once thought we couldn't live without. And then we fall in love with what we didn't even know we wanted. Life keeps leading us on journeys we would never go on if it were up to us. Don't be afraid, have faith, find the lessons, trust the journey. And the person who wrote it, they just kind of mashed their name up, so I don't want to mess this up, but I think it says it's Mark. I'm not even going to mess that up, but it's on my social media if you want to see it. It's on the S.H.E Emerge Instagram page if you want to know who the author is. So after kind of reading that, it kind of spoke to me. Again, I never believed that I've come across certain things by chance. I always believe that it is God's design for me to see something that usually provokes me, makes me think, makes me say, speaks to my current situation, things of that nature. And that was one of those things because I am not a person, again, and as I'm very candid about, who likes the new. Um, and so, as I spoke about in the last episode, God removing me from certain things and certain tables and certain spaces and places and people was a little jarring. And it was something that I had to kind of get in line with when I realized that it was for my good and stop being stubborn and get out of my own way. So, it was like, it was what a strange feeling to wake up one day and simply not need something that you've held on to for so long. Something that has become such an intricate part of your life, and oftentimes, most times, sometimes to your very being, especially when it has become a big part of your identity. It almost creates a panic when it changes, and you're like, I don't really need this. I'm not looking for it. And you realize you're not looking for it because a lot of times it just kind of happens. And then you are just either slightly reminded or just, something just pops in your head and you're like, oh, wow, I haven't done that or I haven't needed that or I haven't seen this person or spoken to this person or been to this place. Or for me, shoes. I haven't looked at these shoes in a very long time, but I'm not getting rid of them because I love my shoes. But, kind of creates a panic like something is changing. This is not how I would normally behave. This is not who I am. And when it gets to that question, like, this is not who I am, what is going on? You get a little panicky, like, is this change for the good? Is this change for the bad? Where did it come from? And excuse me, my allergies are acting up. I've been in some tropical places that now my allergies decide to come out. Um, so, you start to panic and you start to kind of reevaluate situations, feelings, things of that nature to kind of understand how your feelings just changed in the blink of an eye. This was something, this was, maybe something or someone or some place that once upon a time you thought you could not, would not ever be without. And today you just woke up different. And when I had that thought, like I just kind of went to the book One Day My Soul Just Opened Up, and I felt like that. When I started to recognize that I no longer desired, was looking for certain things, certain places, certain people, um, and I had to really sit with myself because I was a little concerned. And then I'm like, well, maybe this is for my good, and it doesn't feel bad to be without them. I don't miss them. So maybe it's for my, this is a good thing. Um, and I started to evaluate how I felt about that. And when I did that, I got that one day my soul just opened up. Um, and, you're now forced out of your comfort zone, which I don't like to be. And you begin to look for what's next. But what's next is not familiar and clearly is going to require a different approach. So when I started to think about my next, after I recognized that these things were, things in my life were shifting, um, I was kind of transitioning, and there was some really um, heavy, life changing situations coming my way. My environment was going to change. My home life was going to change. My marriage was going to change. Um, my career was going to change. And I'm just like, wait a minute, this is a lot. I don't know if I want to do this. Is there a back button? Delete, repro. I don't know if I want this. And I panicked. I freaked out a little bit. I had a few meltdowns. Um, and I'm like, I didn't ask for this. This is not the change that I was kind of looking for. This is not what I imagined, or maybe, I don't know. How did this happen? And so I had to really sit and review and go over some things like, step by step by step, like what I asked for versus what I got type of thing. Like, God, I didn't ask for this. I asked for this, but you gave me this, and I need to understand why, and I need to, and it was just like, I know God was like, shut up, but I couldn't do it because I needed to know. I was just like flustered, like, how did this happen? Like, I asked for one thing, and you're giving me a ton of other things. And but what I'm learning in this process is sometimes what we imagine for ourselves is limited. It's limited, and it's based on the limited goals that we sometimes set for ourselves because they're based on or based in what we've been conditioned to believe is what we deserve or what we're capable of or what we need. And a lot of times it's just limited to that. Um, the opinions of others have been shaping how we feel and think and what we believe about ourselves since the beginning of time. People have influenced heavily how others think about themselves. Um, and what I'm finding to be true, especially in this era, sorry, of social media, is a lot of how we perceive ourselves is shaped by other people's opinions. Um, I come from a generation where everything that I know was spoken, we our elders, we respected our elders, and what they said is what they said, and what they said you were going to do was what you did. Um, and so a lot of my identity was tied up in how they felt about me and their opinions of me and where they thought or perceived that I would and should go in life. And so I held on to that for a very long time. And now, although in my latter years of my adult life, I was able to change some things, and I did. Um, some of those things, the residual still kind of lives with you. Um, and so I realized that I was putting limitations on myself based on things that and opinions of others. And so I had to come out of that. And so that was a process. And although God didn't let me live in that process for very long, thank you, it was still a process because I immediately was like, oh, I can't do that. That's not possible. How am I going to pull that off? Um, where am I going to get the resources from? And what am I going to do once I get in it? And so it took some time to like write it all down because y'all know I like to write. Go back, read it, and think about it and sit with it and be willing and open to listening, which you all know we don't, I don't do that well. Um, so, I had to really just step outside of who I am. Again, ever evolving, which is always a great thing. Um, and realize that I still had some lessons to learn. And I say a lot that, she's a bird, but she's still evolving, which is great. Um, so often it takes a leap of faith to step into the unknown and be willing to walk blindly into your next, which is what I'm doing. So again, I'm never going to tell you guys anything that I'm not living or have not lived. I am actively in this thing, y'all, and I'm sharing it because listen, I got to tell somebody. So, this is a true faith walk. I am blindly walking into my next, and I'm just believing God to give me and guide me, give me the wisdom to do this thing. You know, it takes faith to trust how you feel about yourself more than you trust how others view you, and to be confident in your capabilities and your ability to learn and evolve into who your heart truly desires to be. And so, one of the things I recognize about myself is I am still learning who I am, and I'm still learning and accepting who it is that I truly want to be because I've always kind of like tried to toe the line to fit in because I could be a little radical. Um, I can be a little brash, sometimes a little harsh, a little bratty. There's a couple things in there I'm working on. Um, but I've always kind of been overprotective of who I really am because so much, um, of my upbringing, I had to figure out where I fit in, and so me being that person didn't always fit where I was in that moment, and I was in survival mode, and so I have am learning now in my adult life to be okay with the person that I want to be okay with the person that I was designed to be, the person that I am, and the person that I'm growing into, and that she's okay. And she is perfect just the way that she is. Um, and as long as I stay true to that and am willing to learn, to grow, and to evolve, that it only gets greater later. Um, and so that's a process because you're like, okay, well, is everybody going to accept this person? Because to them it's new, but to me it's old. To me, this person, she's always lived there on the inside. I just had to learn how to walk in her and be one with her and get into alignment with her for fear of judgment, or people shutting me out or judging me, and things of that nature. And it it's a process to get to where you're okay with that. All right, so now I'm okay with being judged. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you don't accept me. Your opinion is your fault, not mine. It's your problem. It's not mine. But that is something that I had to grow into. And so I had to get in alignment with who my heart truly desired me to be, the person that God placed out on the inside, that I've been not so much hiding, but protecting from the world, because I didn't need the world to attack her. I didn't need the world to destroy her. Um, I needed for her to be covered and protected and safe. But she needs to emerge for real, and come on out of there and be okay, and know that it doesn't matter, that she's always going to be safe. She's always going to be protected, and the people who matter will love her anyway. Um, so, in doing so, I had to be willing to make it and accept and walk in the changes that were and will be required, um, to get me to where I'm going, um, and believe that no matter how trying it may get, that my greater is worth it. And I'm starting to see the fruition of my greater. When I made the decision to just get in alignment with her and stop hiding her from the world and be okay, um, being her, um, the doors and the windows just kind of opened up, and the sky is the limit. And so I am definitely excited about the journey, um, and excited to get to know her fully and explore, this new version of myself. So even when you feel like you're losing something, someone, if you receive divine instruction, and this journey has been confirmed in your spirit, as mine has been with me, um, it's you have to know that it's never a loss; it's a redirection, and God is simply making space for what's to come. Um, if you aren't willing to let go, then there won't be enough space for the next season. So if we're holding on, you know, to the clutter, if we're holding on to people's opinions, how they feel, um, who they believe we should be, who they believe we shouldn't be, we're not going to be able to fit who we are supposed to be, who God has designed us to be, the things that God is lining up for us, because we've filled that space with the wrong voices. We filled that space with the wrong baggage, because how people feel about you is their baggage, not your problem. Um, Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we can fuel how people feel about us, but most times, listen, it's none of your business. Let them feel that way. When you get to that point, it is super duper freeing. I promise you. um, but we can't make space for the things that God truly has for us if we are cluttering the space, um, with the opinions, the noise from other people. Like, we are designed to evolve. So if we stay the same, the world will come to a standstill. If nothing evolved, if nothing moved, if nothing grew, the world would be at a standstill. Um, and we're still an important part of the grand plan for the world to keep growing, moving and spinning. So how can you do your part if you stay the same? And those are questions that I had to ask myself. How can I be effective? Which is something that I pray for all the time. God, I want to be effective. I want my light to be effective. Um, I don't need to just be seen. I want to be effective. I want to know that I made a difference. I made a change. I encourage somebody. I help somebody. Um, those types of things. I don't want my legacy in my life to be for nothing. So, but how can I be effective uh, if I'm not willing to change? If I'm not willing to grow? If I just want to stay the same? Um, because it's in my evolution that I'm learning and gaining the tools to be a help. And so I had to really sit with myself and ask myself those questions like, okay, this is what you're asking for, but are you really willing to do the work? Are you really willing to go on the journey? How can you encourage somebody to have faith when you don't want to do it? And when you sit with yourself and you ask yourself those questions, you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to. And so I jumped off the bridge first. And I am taking a journey that is a complete faith walk, and I'm going to do it God's way. And I'm going to be me while doing it. You know, being okay with yourself is a process as well. So nothing happens overnight. Um, you just have to be okay with being you, and and be okay with not being liked, loved, welcomed by everyone. But know that those that do like, love, and welcome you are the ones that are designed to be a part of your journey. Life shifts and it changes. Um, love is meant to grow. It's meant to spread. It's meant to cover, and it's meant to envelop. How can it do that if you put a limit on how much love you have to give? So one of the best lessons I've had to learn is to truly better. You know, is it truly better to love and then to have never loved at all? And as I grow and evolve, I will continuously fall in love with every new version of myself. As long as I'm open to learn and listen to my heart at each turn, even the versions no one else understands. So it is better to have loved um, than to have not loved. And that was hard for me because again, I'm a person who's very overprotective of myself. So once I took and that was a faith walk, the leap to actually love. And I'm not talking about my immediate family. I mean just love people in general and not operate in the fear of being hurt and not being accepted. Um, I learned that it's okay. It felt better to have to know that I've given love. Whether I receive it in return or not, the fact that I gave it. And I gave it freely, and hopefully the love that I gave helped and encouraged somebody and changed somebody, and maybe to save their life or encourage them to love themselves. um, I felt good about that, and I think that felt better than to say that I've not done anything, I've not loved at all, because that sucks. So and in learning how to give love freely, I'm also learning to give it to myself, and so I'm learning to love every version of me, like I just said, like, but when you but you have to first learn how to give love, and receive it in order to give it to you the right way. So I had to learn how to love. And in learning how to love, it improved the way that I love myself. And so, again, I'm learning to be accepting and love every version of me, good, bad, or indifferent. Whether anybody else likes or loves them, not my problem. So the adventure of, learning to love me is one of the best I will ever have. And that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, I have my good days, I have my bad days, and that ugly, when you got that real ugly cry, you just have it, and you just gotta give it away. You just gotta just get it out. I love me in those moments too, because I'm human. And as long I'm loving the human in me. And as long as I love and accept the human in me, um, I won't put undue and unjust expectations on myself. I learned that I'm learning that it's okay to just be sometimes, and everything else will fall in line. Uh, you know, as long as I continue to fight to be the best version of myself, and to do all things in love, and trust that the God in me is bigger than what the world says, I cannot fail. And he has proven that to me, especially in this walk. Because once I accepted that, nobody can take away the God in me. They can judge it. They can say, oh, she's not really. But as long as he knows, he going to make it plain. And he rides for me. So as long as he's riding for me, and he's driving, I'm good. I cannot fail. Failure is not an option. Um, and if I'm unwilling to move and evolve and grow, I have learned that I'm simply existing and I'm not living. Existence does not provide experience. It's like being suspended in time, and everything and everyone is moving around you, and yet you're stagnant. Um, and for a long time, I was just simply existing. I didn't live. I didn't really have experiences that were considered experiences. It was just like my everyday life: go to work, come home, take care of the family. Everything and everyone was a priority except for me. And I made a decision to make myself a priority and to live, because I deserve to be happy. I deserve to genuinely smile. I deserve to be happy with me, and experience things and have fun and live. And so when I made the decision to live and not just exist, I started to see things differently. I went on vacation. That was one of the first experiences that I had with actually living, and seeing something different and being okay with that and not feeling selfish because I decided to wake up one day and just live. Um, I decided to live so that I may have experiences, grow and evolve. I'm excited to fall in love with this new version of myself, to see where the journey will lead, so that my story will be an amazing tale of love, laughter, and fun to offset the trials and tribulations that are sure to come, because that don't stop. We're going to have trials and tribulations. That's our learning curve. But in the process of that, um, I still have to learn. I still have to love. I still have to laugh. I still have to do all of those things. Um, the trials and tribulations are just lessons. They're lessons that are going to grow me. Those tears are water in the dirt. Um, and when you water a seed, seeds are planted in the dirt. And my tears are watering that, and I'm growing. And so for every tear that I shed, a new leaf, a new bud, a new sprout, a new flower blooms, a new blossom. Um, and that means that I'm living. I'm living, I am growing, I am loving, and I am evolving. Um, and so when I read that post, it spoke to me, because if um, there were a lot of things that I thought I couldn't live without, there were a lot of things that I thought that I needed. But the truth of the matter is, I needed me more. Um, and I have absolutely fallen in love with a lot of things that I didn't know I needed, a lot of things that I never acknowledged that I wanted. And I needed a new journey. And so God has set me on a path to, um, you know, find and discover all the different layers of me. Um, and so I'm not afraid. And I encourage you not to be afraid either. And to have faith, find the lessons in all your trials and all your tribulations, but don't stop living in the process of that. Don't let grief, um, frustration, anger stop you from living, um, because that's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants you to feel so defeated that you just stop. And if I'm honest, I allowed him to do that to me. And for a long time, I just stopped. And I lost a lot of time. But I am reclaiming my time on today. And I'm being honest with me about who I am, my wants, my needs, my desires, and how I'm going to go about attaining them, because I'm worth it and I deserve it. Self care is important. So that's my little spiel about this cute little post that kind of is absolutely dope. And I think that, again, we all run into things for a reason, and God was just confirming for me that I am on my way and in the right space and the right place. And I thank Him for those little gentle reminders, um, that I'm growing. I'm evolving. I'm emerging. So, um, thank you all for joining me today. This one is just, I just really wanted to touch on that. I really wanted to share because I'm sure somebody out there um, may be in the same space and place that I'm in. I don't know. Take the best part of it for yourself. I thank you guys all for joining me and for listening. I appreciate it. Until next time, the sun rises alone every day and still manages to shine. The moon rises alone every night and still manages to light someone's way. Be the light, people. Smile. You are worth it. You are loved. You are important. You are capable. You are absolutely the bomb. Until next time, thank you for joining me. Love you. See you later.
Reaping season, and I shall reap the harvest of my labor as promised. I have been called. I am a willing vessel.